everybody. Welcome back to the channel. How is everybody doing today? I have to figure out my audio settings because I can't hear myself and it's driving me nuts. So give me 1 second. Oh my goodness. Oh, there we go. That's a little bit better, I guess. How is everybody doing today? Tammy, good morning. How are you? It's so good to see you. All right. So welcome back to the channel. For everybody who has been here before, and if you haven't been here before, welcome. Mr. Squid, that is the computer. I'm trying not to bug him. So we're here to discuss everything related to this past week's video, the start of our fall prevention series. This will be a quick one today. There's not a whole lot to discuss, maybe half an hour. But I wanted to see if y'all had any questions about the video. Yeah, I'm Mr. Squid. Y'all heard him on camera for a split second on my other channel earlier this week. That'll probably be the only time that will ever happen. But maybe someday. Maybe someday. Before we get started talking about this, we do have just a couple of things to discuss about what's coming up. I put up a poll, and let me open it up. I put up a poll earlier this week asking what you guys would like to see on the channel next after our 5-week fall prevention series. So this is the first week. The video coming up is balance and stability. I am in the middle of recording it right now. There will be a follow along 5-exercise balance routine that you guys can follow during that. And then we have cognition and home modifications for fall prevention, and then a wrap up where we will be retesting the functional reach test that we started this week. And the functional reach test, don't overthink that too much, but we'll get into why. So this week I had put up a poll, and I'm just going to share my screen. Sunday mornings are busy times around here. So there we go. I had put up a poll about after the fall prevention series, what would you like to see? More follow-along tutorials, breakdowns of nutrition guidelines and recent changes, or corrective exercise basics? Well, overwhelmingly, with the 22 votes, were corrective exercise. So we're going to get into what corrective exercise actually is, the basics on why it matters, and some not so much follow-along routines, but things that you can do in your daily lives to correct if you have pain. Yes, Heidi, how are you this morning? So that is overwhelmingly the follow-up of this 5-week series. But fall prevention coming into the holidays and the colder weather where we have ice and snow and everything. I changed it to 10:30, so I have it as 10:30 every Sunday, just to get it. It's a little bit easier for replay crew. It's a little bit earlier for our day, so if we go somewhere in the afternoon, I'm not having to cancel plans or change my stream, so it just works a little better for me. In the future, this probably won't be on a Sunday because I know that a lot of people go to church, and that's totally fine. It'll probably be more like a Saturday or a Friday afternoon thing, but we just wanted to start simple. So I have to change my media assets here. There we go. I have my my stuff, and I'm still working on making overlays for this channel figuring out what we're all about over here as far as what the layout looks like. Uh, However, it's a work in progress. Um, I am realizing I'm learning a lot quickly. And Mama Squid in the house. How are you, Mom? Uh, yep, gives you more family time this way, and that's why I really want um, these to be a quick half an hour to an hour streams and easy to watch on the replay, but also so I can have family time because Mr. Squid works a lot of overtime. He is gone a lot, and this is all the family time we get is Saturdays and Sundays. So you got to take advantage of it while you get it. Hi, I'm doing all right. How are you feeling this morning? So now that we have a little bit more people here, please hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't. I'm trying to make it to 200 subscribers. We're at like 194 right now. Share this out if you think people could use this information. Our last video was our first fall prevention series. We highlighted a couple of things that you can do to test your balance, mainly the functional reach test. This has been used by physical therapists. I am not a physical therapist. I'm an OT or OTA. However, it's an easy, you can do it sitting or standing. And the picture I posted was standing, but don't read too much into it. It is just a baseline. Don't reach too far where you are going to fall, because the goal here is never to put you in a position where you are going to fall. It is to figure out where your limits are right now, and then we'll retest in 5 weeks and see where we are. But you can even do it sitting. So what you can do, say you have your chair facing this way. Oh, you get to see a little demonstration. And all you do is just stick your arm out. You can do it sitting down and you just reach. If you are the type of person where you are limited to a wheelchair, that is fine. You can still do this test because it is important that your balance, even while sitting in a chair, it's important because you need to reach to your feet to put shoes on. You need to reach out of your chair to get things off the counter, out of the fridge. You still have to reach and use your balance systems, even though you might not feel as steady or be able to do the functional reach test standing. So it can be modified to sitting. So just because I showed a picture in standing does not mean that you need to do it standing. Let's get that out of the way. Everything on this channel and just everything in life is modifiable. On the video coming up for this week, I will demonstrate it one way, but I will have modifiers of how to make it harder than what I did, or how to make it simpler than what I did. Balance is important for everybody. And hi, Snipe Hunter, how are you this morning? Autocorrect is not my friend. Autocorrect is never anybody's friend because it generally autocorrects to something embarrassing or ridiculous that makes no sense. So don't worry. Autocorrect is what it is. All right. And I did give a little challenge to people this week about getting up every 30, 45 minutes and doing a little movement. Did anybody notice a difference in one side versus the other? Any pain, things like that. And when you notice these situations, like one side is tighter than the other, write it down. Kind of keep a little journal. Yes, modify. Good morning, Gail. Modify, modify, modify. And it's one of those things where even in the gym, when there's a workout written, like yesterday's workout, goodness, yesterday's workout was a partner workout, but it was 80 calories on the bike, 100 of an exercise, like, and then back on the bike, and then another exercise, a couple exercises, and then back on the bike. Even though that's a prescribed workout, you can always make that easier or harder depending on how you're feeling that day. You go harder on the bike, you go slower on the bike. You lift it was all a dumbbell workout. So you only use one dumbbell instead of two. You use layer weights. Everything in this world is modifiable. Just because something is shown to you one way, that's not the way it needs to be done, especially if you're going to put yourself in a position where you end up falling. Like if your balance is completely awful, and you know it's completely awful. If I tell you to do a one leg stand, how about we don't start with trying to lift our foot over our head like a, music or a Radio City Rockhead? How about we start with lifting this much off the ground, or even just weight shifting and going on your tiptoe of the other foot? Like, not everything needs to be done to the fullest extent initially. You make it easier. Like, we speak and we type and type and ease in the tubes. Eat running late. Good morning, Jeffrey. How are you this morning? Oh, it's we need to know that everything is modifiable. However, one of the reasons that I really wanted to focus on this first on this channel was it's getting cold. I highlight this in almost every one of my videos, but I am from Wisconsin. I might live in a warm climate where we don't get snow, and if we do, it melts the next day. But I know what it's like to have to leave the house with ice, snow, cold, putting on so many layers that you're like the kid in A Christmas Story. However, staying at home in those colder climates, staying at home is not an option. People have to go to work, whether we like it or not. People have to go to doctor's appointments. Even if you view yourself as homebound, generally you still have to go to doctor's appointments. You still have to go grocery shopping. Not all of us have services that can do these things for us. You still have to get in and out of a vehicle, and when you park in a parking spot, you never know what's going to be under your feet when you open that door. So it's one of those situations of, hey, Dad. It's one of those situations where balance is for everybody. And balance and working on your balance is not just for the elderly or the aging. It's for everyone. Because a lot of times, our balance system is what keeps us safe when we're picking up our toddlers, when we're reaching down to feed our pets, when they're running all over the place underneath their feet, and we're having to catch ourselves. So that is why this is one of the most important things that I wanted to cover first. I know it's not everybody's cup of tea, but it should be. And I'm generally not the type to tell you who to watch or what to watch, but of all the things to watch on this channel for any age, this is probably the most important. Yes, staying at home during the winter contributes to social isolation as well. That is very true. Not everybody is technologically savvy where they can hop on YouTube and get their adult human interaction with some tubers. I thought I would watch live instead of streaming later. Well, thanks, Dad. How are you this morning? But people are generally scared to go outside in the wintertime. We don't know what to expect. Driving is a hazard in itself. You put on 30 layers, and if you're heat sensitive like me or sensitive to temperature changes, you instantly walk into a store and you're like, I can't stand all these layers, and you feel claustrophobic. There's a whole host of issues that come with cold weather. Hey, Sleepwatcher, how are you? I'm up in winter, whether there's snow on the ground or not. Right now it's winter, currently light rain and 40 degrees. However, we don't have everything turned yellow and orange in the spring. Yeah, everything here turns a thick layer of yellow. It's yellow's not my color in more ways than one. And yellow on my car and the sidewalks and power washing the driveway and getting a pool of yellow at the end of the driveway is always a fun experience. Temps like 48 degrees with 70% humidity and a dew point of 38 is painful. Oh, yes, the air hurts your face. It's also hard to breathe. I am not a respiratory therapist. I can give you breathing exercises for mindfulness, but at the same time, that is not my area of expertise. So I'm kind of staying away from that. So if you do have any questions, I can answer within my scope, but that's it. But does anybody who watched this last video have any questions on it or things that they want addressed? Any functional reach issues? I do have to go back and post all the articles that I used for the research. I'm trying to mention studies, but not like direct quotes from the studies, like and read the study itself, because that can be awfully time consuming and very, very boring. And once again, we're trying to make these easy to watch. The goal here is never to make it like I'm a professor explaining to you the ins and outs of the human body and research. We're trying to make these videos practical so that you can take the advice that's given to you in these videos and apply what works for you to your life to keep you safe. But as always, before anybody asks any questions, if y'all have any, this is my I am not your occupational therapy assistant. I have to make the YouTube gods happy. They do not I do not provide medical advice on this channel. Never will. I inform based on my experience and encourage you to talk to your own healthcare providers, whether that be a primary care physician or your therapist or treatment team that you are seeing. Not hitting in the face. It's so much more muscular joints that don't like high humidity with cold temps. My body's a barometer and tells me when weather changing is snow or rain or on the way. Yeah, my head does that. The other day when it got super cold around here, well, I say super cold with like a asterisk because our super cold's not, it's relative, you know? I say super cold in relation to where I live. My head was pounding every day and my neck hurt so bad. Like back here, it's like I can almost feel, okay, this is going to sound really stupid, but anybody who's had any sort of metal put in their body, you know how metal can expand and contract when it gets cold? It almost, and it's weird because it's not supposed to be the case, because you're not supposed to be able to, like the internal temperature of your body stays pretty consistent. But it's almost like you can feel the metal contract and expand. It's bizarre. I don't know if anybody else, if you have any sort of an artificial joint and or plates or screws from broken bones, let me know if that's something you experience or I'm just completely crazy here. Because every time the weather changes, it's like I can feel my head throb, like that piece of metal on my brain is expanding and contracting with the weather. It's creepy. My cookies are almost here. That'll help with the isolation winter brings. Okay, I know what you mean. My left foot lets me know. It's the weirdest feeling, and it's hard to describe unless you. It's hard to describe unless you've been there, or you have something like that. I just wondered if I was alone. But how did everybody enjoy that video too? Because I'm working on some new ways of filming and still learning my camera. You would love a stream on how we feel different every time the weather changes. Gail, I would like Tammy, I would love to have you and some other people like come on, no cameras required, but just hear your voice and be able to tell your story of how you feel when the weather changes, because I can get up here and give you my synopsis on what happens to me, but I'm just one person. I'd like to think that I have some insight into situations, but I like to hear other people's stories. Um, on my other channel, um, I have to look it up because I don't exactly remember what I called it. But on my other channel, I had started a series. Well, I intended to start a series. I did one stream, but it was I had Sarah from Living Life with FND on my stream, and it was the Pain Chronicles. I think it was what I called it. And my intention was to have more of those. Um, I think that might be a good, maybe not a live stream, but a podcast of pre-recording a video with someone who has a chronic issue, if they're willing to come on and discussing it and kind of uploading that as a separate video. It's not your imagination. Your body's capable of feeling so much more than just temp, touch, sight, taste, and smell. Learn to listen to your body, cravings, anxiety. They're all real feels. Yeah, and I know we all talk about doctors and how much we love or don't love them. But like I said, I don't provide medical advice. But if you do go to your doctor, I will provide friendly advice from someone who's been in that situation before. If you go to your doctor with a concern, and you've had this concern for a long time, and the doctor tells you that you're faking it, um, your symptoms aren't real, or you tell them something that you think might be going on, and they try to gaslight you, yeah, never let their medical degree take the place of you living in your own body for 40 years. Yeah, yeah. Tammy says, get another doctor. Yeah. And like you always hear doctors say, don't let um your Google search replace my medical degree. Well, never let their medical degree replace the fact that you've lived with your own body for how many years. And when you have pain and when you know something's wrong. Because sometimes we know something's wrong. Like I was gaslit for, I want to say a decade, maybe longer, about headaches. Well, yes, I have headaches. They said it was migraines, but migraines don't radiate from here and make it all the way down to the middle of your neck. Like, mm. Yeah, great insight, Jeffrey. I'm learning leaps and bounds. I listen so much better now to others. And here's the thing, too. This is a channel to let people know that people who have chronic pain, you're not alone. Because a lot of times you're made to feel like you're crazy because they tell you especially women. Especially women. I have heard this story so many times in doing research and watching other videos and TikToks and all of that stuff. They make it everything is either anxiety or your hormones. And yes, anxiety and your hormones do come into play for certain things. But your anxiety and your hormones are not an all purpose answer for why you can't feel your feet. Oh, I turn my body this way and my leg goes numb. It's not my anxiety. Sorry. Like, sorry to break it to you. And if you ever feel like you're being gaslit, never be afraid to ask for a second opinion. And this is what I've gathered about the whole like doctor shopping and people being accused of doctor shopping. It's when people accuse you of when a doctor accuses you of doctor shopping or not trusting him because he's a doctor. And I say he just because most doctors are men, but we're not. Women are just as bad. Women are probably harder on other women. And my women in the chat and not on the replay crew, y'all can attest to that. Hey Tammy. But it's one of those things of if you have a practice with more than one doctor, ask to see the other doctor. then it's not like they can never go to your insurance and say you're doctor shopping, whatever the hell that actually means, um, because you're in the same practice, or asked to see the nurse practitioner, asked to see the physician's assistant, asked to see somebody else within that same practice and ask them what they think. So I was gaslit by specialists for nearly 30 years. I hear ya, having to reestablish all but my GI. Yeah, and it's just one of those things because people get so there's two things that I've noticed from all the patients that I've ever worked with. They either think their doctors are all knowing and they call it practice for a reason. Um, it's it's a situation that you have to take your body. You know your body better than anybody else. You've lived with it all your life. These doctors see you for what, 10, 15 minutes at a time, maybe twice a year. And if it's an urgent care, it's probably the first time they've ever seen you. So just remember, you are, it's not that you're smarter than the doctor. It you are more intuitive with what is normal for you. If you wake up with a headache every day and that's your norm, when you don't wake up with a headache, something's different. Or when you wake up with a worse headache, something is different. And it's like they can't just. And hey, Josie, how are you? And Kirby, welcome to the stream. And we are just kind of having a conversation. Um, we kind of did discuss a little bit about the last week's video, and yeah, and right now we're talking more about how not to get gaslit. And gaslighting is a real thing. People telling you stuff so much, whether it be your own family, your doctors, your professors, it's like if someone tells you something long enough, you start to believe them. And it's like never yeah, you know what your body has been doing, and if something's different, um, and some people do get doctor anxiety or just hospital anxiety or whatever. Um, so if you ever have questions, write them down during the week. So, like, I know that I have a doctor's appointment coming up in 2 months. Well, I'm not going to remember this question that I have now in 2 months, or I have all these concerns, and they ask me, "Do you have any questions?" And I say, "No." Get a small notebook. Yeah, medical PTSD is a thing too. That is very true. Um, write down, "Hey, I'm having a weird day. Like, shit's just weird." Excuse my language, but stuff is just weird. Like, today is an off day. Write down a Sunday, November 23rd, 11 a.m. Like, left foot, toes feel cold for no reason at all. Yeah, don't ignore your body when it's trying to tell you something. And that's not to say that that's a huge problem, because sometimes people just have poor circulation and sometimes it's a thing. Um, However, if it's unusual, it's your body trying to tell you something. It's like your stomach growling, you're hungry. Well, when your foot is numb, it's like, is it a positioning thing, or what were you doing when your foot was numb? Were you just sitting in a chair and your foot fell asleep for no reason at all? Or were you like, if I cross my legs long enough at the ankle, my foot will go to sleep? But I was cutting off the circulation of my own ankle. So sometimes there are some simple explanations for things, but if you can't come up with a common sense explanation for why you're feeling what you're feeling, write it down, write what you were feeling, write how it made you feel. Because a lot of these times, the doctors are just, they see clinical, they see a roadmap to the body. They see the body as a roadmap. Um, this symptom can lead to this symptom can lead to this, but you have to let your doctor know how it makes you feel. And this is the time when, like, I'm not a huge, like, in general, like, getting emotional a lot of the times, but this is the time when you have to let someone know that, "Hey, this scared me," or, "I woke up, this was unusual, it freaked me out, I didn't know how to handle it, and I had a panic attack." Like, it's when I was diagnosed with CRPS, I was told not to go looking for answers. Ugh. And CRPS is scary to me because it's like there's from what I can gather from classes that I've taken, and I've just done continuing eds on it, but it's they tell you that your body has pain, but there's no, like, logical explanation, like, "Oh, um, I dropped something on my arm and I gave myself a bruise. My arm hurts because I dropped something on it." Totally makes sense. But when you wake up and you have pain for what feels like no freaking reason at all, you and then to tell you not to look for answers just would make you go crazy. It's yeah, and that's not okay. My niece has hypermobility syndrome. She's told just to pop the joint back in. Does she have EDS? Because that sounds like an EDS, um, a joint laxity issue. And that's and there's therapists who are very good in these. Oh, uh, it's almost like I know somebody like that. And I don't mean to laugh at her. It's just how when you've seen it, you can point it out and you can kind of tell. But when you go to a doctor and you're like, I have EDS, they're like, "Mm," for example, I am a clinical lymphedema therapist. You kind of know lymphedema when you see it. Um, you once you have the education, like you don't need to be a rocket scientist to see lymphedema and know what lymphedema is when you see it. However, that being said, I had a patient once who, before she got diagnosed with lymphedema, she went to her doctor and she was like, "This is what's happening. This is what's happening. I think I have lymphedema." And he told her, and there's some things in life that you will just never forget. And this is one of those quotes that I will never forget. He told her, and this is her story, so I don't have the whole story, but based on what she had told me about being diagnosed, he told her, "Please don't say that word around me because I don't know how to treat it." That right there is when you just need to find a new doctor. Instead of going, "I don't know how to treat it, let me refer you to a lymphedema therapist who can help you and make recommendations for you. I just am not going to admit that you might have lymphedema because I don't know how to treat it." That to me is just, like I said, I'm not a doctor. Don't claim to be, don't want to be. I'm not providing medical advice. Friendly, friendly mama advice or cousinly advice because I'm younger than some of y'all, or niece advice. If you ever are told that by a doctor, find a new doctor because that doctor is not going to help you. It's like saying, "Oh, I don't know how to treat a heart attack, so we're just gonna pretend you don't have one." What? What in the world? Ugh. And there are 3 types of EDS, only one shows on labs. My daughter has EDS, and it was a major fight to get to a geneticist. I have a really good friend who's also an occupational therapist, who had to basically fight for, um, her diagnosis. But here's the thing, also, when she was diagnosed, it's d mm, it's one thing to be a patient, and I will never downplay anybody's experiences on this channel. Um, However, it's one thing to be a patient and deal with gaslighting from your medical team with a difficult diagnosis, but it's another thing to have the diagnosis, work in a hospital where your coworkers, and when you work in a 700-bed hospital and between PT, OT, and speech, there's about 250 inpatient, acute care, and inpatient rehab therapists between OT, PT, and speech. Let's combining them all together. And they are gaslighting you about your symptoms. You know there's a problem when your coworkers, other therapists who are supposed to understand and be empathetic or sympathetic. I've seen that. I've dealt with it myself because it wasn't until I went back to my hospital and I said, "By the way, I'm having brain or I have a an appointment with a neurosurgeon in a couple of weeks. Um, and then I got scheduled for brain surgery, decompression surgery. Some people consider it brain surgery and some people don't. I consider it brain surgery because they open up the dura matter on your brain and all that CSF flows out and they actually attach something to your brain. I consider that brain surgery. Some people are like, they never actually cut into your brain or removed anything like a tumor or anything like that. So they don't consider it brain surgery. I, however, being a patient, do consider it brain surgery. So it's 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 interesting that my coworkers generally only the ones who had chronic pain understood and were kind of more sympathetic to me, but the ones who were quote unquote normal, and everybody has something, so normal is relative. But the ones who were normal didn't have migraines, didn't know what a Chiari was to save their life, um, treated me like I was lying, like when I'd call in sick because I had a headache and I couldn't function, I couldn't keep my eyes open, um, that I was the problem. And it's like, it wasn't till I needed surgery and I was scheduled for surgery that people actually took me seriously. And I worked in a hospital. So, yeah, you will I agree. I agree. However, you will, you will get people who, that you will get some people who don't see it as brain surgery because for whatever reason. But I also had a fight online with somebody on Facebook like a decade ago, um, that said that said that spinal surgery wasn't neurosurgery. And it was like, uh, I was like, that's not what my anatomy books tell me. Just saying. Um, and Jeffrey, I had a comment up here or a question. What about the doctors who can't take more than a minute to talk with their patients? I think that's worse than a doctor who listens to you and dismisses your questions for desire more than tests. Um, there is a thing, and it all goes back to payment. There are doctors who, and I'm not sure how it works anymore because I haven't checked the reimbursement guidelines through CMS, but CMS used to reimburse doctors based on how many patients they saw in a day. The less time you spend with each patient, the more patients you can see, the more money you make. I am not sure if that is the case now. I have not looked, but there seem to be reasons for that. So, mm, a lot of people don't understand about EDS or CPRS. There's a lot of things people don't understand. POTS is another one that people don't understand. Chiari malformation is another one. Um, it's mm. My youngest has EDS, middle has POTS, and another spectrum disorder with both diagnoses. If someone diagnosed with one of them, there's a 50% chance that the other has it just undiagnosed, and and that's the thing. Like we've made leaps and bounds in this world about not stigmatizing when someone says they have depression or anxiety, not stigmatizing mental health. But we still stigmatize if someone has a neurological condition that we can't see. It's not like a broken leg where someone puts a cast on it and we can all see that someone's wearing a cast. Neurological conditions generally are subtle in their physical symptoms, generally, not always. Obviously, a stroke is a lot more, you can see it. However, there are some people who have neurological issues that you can't see. Like, I will be writing, or would, and all of a sudden, I would drop the pencil. I was working with a personal trainer one time, and bless his precious little heart, I went he dropped me as a client because dropped the kettlebell, and he thought I was throwing the kettlebell. It's like, no, my hand just said, I don't want to effing hold this anymore, and went, I don't have control over some movements sometimes, and I don't know why, or didn't know why at the time because I hadn't been diagnosed yet. But I went back to him because he was still in the gym where I went to a CrossFit gym. Like, he was still there every time I was there, and sometimes coached the classes that I went to. And when I went to him and I was like, "Remember how I dropped that kettlebell and you got mad at me and said, that, like I was horrible and whatever else you said out of anger?" I was like, "Oh, by the way, I'm scheduled for brain surgery on whatever date I was scheduled." And he goes, I was like, "Are you serious?" I'm like, "No, no, that's just something I joke about." Like, yes, we joke about having brain surgery. Like, yes, and please share this channel. Help Heather out. Help a girl out. Yeah, insurance is a major factor in payment at the time they allow types of visits. All have to do with coding used. Yeah, and I will not even pretend to understand co- uh, coding and medical billing and coding. I knew the codes that I was used at the time. We even had like splinting. We had instructions on what codes to use for splinting because we didn't do it enough to actually remember what the codes were. So we had 2 pages of written instructions on how to bill for a splint. I will not even pretend like I remember any of those codes. I just remember Theract, Ther exercise, um, neuro reeducation were and community engagement or community reentry were it's a community one. It's where I took patients out. I loved it because I got to take patients like off the floor, and I got to take them down into the pharmacy and or say, "Hey, I have $20. We're gonna go to the grocery store across the street, and you're going to here's my shopping list. We're gonna try to get as much as we can for $20," and the cognitive processes. But I don't even pretend to yeah, your treatment you get is based on coding or whatever it's paid for, sick need. Yeah, like if I so Theract and Therax would be like the typical codes, but if I was doing a cognitive task, like and I specifically for a cognitive goal, I would use like I would use cognition because one, I'm doing cognition, so it's technically you're billing for what you're doing, but cognition pays more than therapeutic exercise, or at least it did. I have no idea what pays what now, but um, yeah. ICD, CPT, HCPCS coding can be confused. Yeah, that's putting it lightly. But we are at about 45 minutes. Coming up on the channel, I just want to briefly explain what will be happening this upcoming week. I am working on balance and stability because balance and stability, surprisingly enough, are not interchangeable words. Uh, but we will be doing a follow along. So I'm Mama Squid. I might need your help to come over tomorrow when you come over tomorrow, and I might need you to help me record. Um, because you will see me actually demonstrating the exercises. So if anybody wants a laugh and to see how bad my balance can be at times, tune in. But there will be modifications for both how to make it harder and how to make it easier. That will be coming up this week. There probably won't be a live next Sunday um, because of the holiday weekend. However, if there is, it'll probably be later on in the afternoon, like 4 or 5. One, because it allows people who are traveling to kind of get back home to where they are. But secondly, I kind of want to try a different time to see what works. So it'll probably be 5 p.m. Eastern next Sunday. I would be interested in that. I have issues with my father and his balance. Yeah, and that is one of the major reasons why I'm doing this because balance is not just for the elderly. Balance is for everybody, um, especially with medical conditions. And I kind of go over in that video too some common medical conditions that can affect your balance And like I said, not a doctor, but I urge you, if you notice any balance issues and you have been diagnosed with one of these, to talk to um, your provider, ask for a therapy eval if you're able to. Try to get seen by someone who is skilled in that area and can help you. Something as simple as reading the actual side effects of your medications can help you. Um, so we can get into that all on the next live stream, but that will all be in the next video. Yeah, good idea of doing a time change. Yeah, afternoons, evenings work well on Sundays because of church. Yeah, sometimes they work well for me and sometimes they don't, but I'm trying to find a consistent time, and I figure the changing the time and experimenting to see what works better for everybody. Also, I do have in that video in the description, I do have or pinned comment, I do have a clickable link. I do have a handout on fall prevention that I made. I didn't download it from anywhere. I made this one myself. Um, so if you'll download that, read it, see if it can help you. But if you have downloaded it, please let me know and give me feedback on what you think of it, because this is the first time that I've personally made my own PDF handout. So even though I want to do things, I also want to do things well. I don't just want to do things for the sake of doing them. I want to do them well. So if y'all do download that handout, please let me know. And please give me your feedback on what you think of the design, how things are laid out. I will be doing more in the future. However, this was just my first attempt. So please give me your grace. So, on that note, y'all have a great day. Spawn is currently doing a gaming stream. I don't know what game he's playing. Um, I cannot, I can't even begin to guess because I'm not a gamer. But Spawn is doing a gaming stream over on his gaming channel. So let me post the link for that. And I will, let's do this, copy. And honestly, thank you. Thank you, Gail. Yeah, that means a lot. I'm trying. This channel is very, very important to me. My other channel is very important to me too. But this one is my baby. I went to school for this. This is what I wanted to do with my life. I do not want to work in major healthcare anymore due to some of the things that I saw in the 2019, late 2019 to mid 2020. Um, you know, yes, and it's a drama free zone. How much more before you can get super chats here? About 305 subscribers. And let's see, 305 subscribers and like 2,000 more watch hours. So we have a long way to go, but I'm working on it. This is like I said, this is my baby. This is where we will talk all things health related, safety related. You know, this is my career. This is important to me. So this will be a drama free zone. If anybody brings the drama, my mods have full license to time them out for 24 hours, no questions asked, and then give me their names. And if I see them here again and they start drama, they will not be timed out. They will be blocked because we just don't do drama here. Save that stuff for over there. Save that stuff for another place and time. This is my baby. I love what I do. It is a little not intimidating, but it is a little upfront, like coming to you and talking to you live about it, because it's not something that I can make an outline for, and it's feedback based on what you guys say in the chat. It's This is the conversation on Sundays. Thank you. Versus me preaching to you guys. So sometimes it starts off a little slow because there's just not a lot of people in here, but hopefully we'll get there. And I will be doing more poll questions on these lives. I have plans for them when they get a little bit bigger and when we get more established as a channel. But once again, this is a new channel, so we kind of got to go with what we got to go with, and hopefully we'll grow. Yes, me too. Me too. Um, bring someone with you next. Maybe I will. We'll see. But I will see you guys over on Spawn's channel for a little bit, and I'm going to go eat some breakfast because I still haven't eaten yet. Y'all have a great day, and I will see you guys tomorrow over on my other channel where we do have some drama docket updates. I gave a little preview on my members only on that channel last night, but we are going to go through the full document tomorrow at 2 p.m. So I appreciate everybody for being here. Y'all have a great day. Bye.